Namaste and a good evening to everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and participants from across the globe. Welcome to this momentous occasion as we gather here to celebrate the transformative power of education and global connections on Educational Connect with TM. This extraordinary session is centered around the theme GPS My Success, guided by our remarkable Dr. Karim R. Ellis. Sir, we welcome you.
Well, good morning over here in the States. I understand it's evening time out there for you, but good morning.
So, together we will be embarking on an international exchange that bridges the United States and India, fostering an educational connect that transcends border. Through this transformative insight, Dr. Ellis will empower us to unlock our full potential, embrace our unique strengths, and chart on a course towards achieving our goals and dreams.
Hmm.
With GPS My Success as a compass, we will explore the essential elements that pave the way of greatness, from the mindset and motivation to effective strategies and actionable steps. So, dear friends, fasten your seatbelts, open your minds, and get ready to embark on a transformative journey with Dr. Karim. Sir, over to you.
All right, sounds good. So first of all, I want to say it is a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to be on such a prestigious platform so early in the morning out here in the States. For those of you that are wondering what time it is 8 o'clock in the morning out here. So today I want to talk about some stuff I think is going to be revolutionary, especially for individuals that are looking to chase their goals and capture their dreams. So I want to talk about how you can GPS your way to success. That's what I want to talk about, is how we can GPS our way to success.
Right, sir. So, as we begin with the session, I would like to give an introduction to Sir's journey over the period of time.
Hmm.
It's been a remarkable journey, and I am just spellbound to be mentioning the number of achievements that Sir has, and it's endless. So, I would was been able to shortlist a few of them. To be very honest, there was a line and a list of it, so I probably could shortlist a few of them, which I would like to highlight. So, sir. Dr. Kareem is the number one breakthrough strategist and has been featured in NBC,
Hmm.
CBS, ABC, Yahoo Finance, Wall Street Select, and Fox Network.
Hmm.
A dynamic powerhouse speaker with 20 years of experience in the field of speaking, training, and breakthrough success,
Hmm.
Dr. Kareem has also authored the best selling book titled GPS My Success.
Hmm.
Dr. Kareem is a recipient of the 2022 Speakercon Motivational Speaker of the Year Award, recipient of the proud, prestigious Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. He has represented and taken the TEDx speaker 2 times and has been crowned with many prestigious awards and titles. His leadership and professional development principles addressed to the companies include the Ford Motor Company, Honda, General Electric, Toyota, Johnson& and Johnson, Anthem, and many more.
Hmm.
Not even this. His YouTube channel has over 200 videos of testimonials from both his events planners as well as the attendees, which is highly recommendable. Please go and watch it. Sir, it's a proud honor for us to be having you here today for this session. And we are really looking forward to an enlightening journey as we're going to go through the success journey through your GPS. Over to you, sir.
All right, all right. So, thank you again for that lavish introduction. It doesn't feel like I've done all that. It's been I've been here for a while. There's been a lot of accomplishments. So, it's always great to be able to look back over your life and say, "Man, we've done a lot. We've seen a lot." But when people ask me how did I achieve that, it's the principles that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the strategy I use when we talk about the concept of how we can GPS our way to success. So let's go ahead
True,
and
true,
jump in
sir.
here real quick. All right. Okay, so I want to talk about what I call setting the address. And everybody here is familiar with GPS technology. I don't think there's anyone under the sound of my voice that is a stranger to how GPS works. So we're going to use that as the body of work that we're going to actually teach out of today. But just a little bit about me. I want to get a little personal with everybody here today. I want you to feel like you actually know me beyond the scope of any achievements or accolades that were read earlier. To start out, obviously, I'm a motivational speaker. As it said earlier, I've been doing this for 2 decades at this point in time. I'm also a certified John Maxwell leadership trainer. For anyone who's familiar with a leadership speaker, John Maxwell, I'm a certified Les Brown Platinum speaker as well. I am also a real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate for 2 decades as well. And obviously, the author of GPS Your Success or G.P.S My Success, which is what we're going to talk about today. I have one beautiful daughter by the name of Brianna, as you can see right now that, she's grown, so I don't have to walk around here protecting her from all these guys out there. She's capable and able, and I'm so happy and proud about her. So we got one daughter. I'm the owner of 3 very mischievous dogs. Going from the scope of left to right, the dog with his tongue sticking out is Fendi. The dog hiding in the background is Aries. And of course, the really, really photogenic dog sitting up in the front, that's my boy Apollo. And you can tell he takes after his father. He saw the camera and he knew exactly what to do inside that camera. All right. I own 5 fish. That one fish sitting back in the back is a koi. That fish is about this big at this point in time. If that fish gets any bigger, I'm going to make him get a job. All right. And then there's a picture with me and Mr. John Maxwell. And there's a picture with me and Mr. Les Brown, who's my current mentor. All right. So one of the things I always ask people is I say, what was at least one thing you were good at growing up as a child? Because as kids growing up, there's a lot of things we did exceptionally well. And for me, I actually had 3 things I did exceptionally well as a child growing up. Number 1, I was super smart. I actually skipped a grade. I went from kindergarten to 2nd grade, totally skipped over 1st grade. So I was always known as one of the cutest, because that picture right there, that guy's pretty cute, right? But I was also known for being super smart. The second thing I was known for was I was always a talker. I was always the child that talked entirely too much. My senior year, I was voted most talkative, and I'll jump into why that is so important. And then the last thing about me is I was known for my eagle eye vision. I was that child that could see anything from a distance. Doesn't make a difference how far it was. I had eagle eye vision. Now, the reason why I had the little puppy getting popped, because I always got in trouble for talking too much. Like my mother would always say, you talk entirely too much. But the beautiful thing about knowing your gifts and talents, and I want to pause here for a second, because I think that everybody on the sound of my voice, you have to know what you do exceptionally well. I love education. I think education is paramount to your success. But I also think in addition to knowing education, you got to know what you do exceptionally well. You must know what is your gift, what is your talent, and what is your expertise. When I discovered my gift of communication and my gift of speaking, that gift of communication literally took me all over the world. As you can see on the screen, there's photos and pieces of the journey of my life where I've spoken nationally and spoken internationally, and I've been on a multitude of different platforms, and I've shared the platforms with various success figures and successful individuals. You can also see that I've had different accolades and awards for different books and literature that I've done. And all that came about because I understood my God-given gift and talent, which was the art of communication. Now, I know that with this broadcast, we have a lot of youth. And what I want to really, really anchor, if you are a youth watching this right now, as you go into your fantastic future, spend some time understanding your gift and your talent. With most people, when they understand what they do exceptionally well, they understand the gift and talent they've been given to them, and they learn how to take that gift and talent and apply it with the right education. It takes you to a whole nother dynamic. It takes you to a whole nother level. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that, just to kind of put that out there. And that gift and talent has taken me literally on all different types of platforms. I've spoken in front of all different types of major organizations. This is just a few of the places I've been at. But today I want to talk to you more about my eagle eye vision, the ability to see everything at a distance. Now, I told you my vision got me far. I could see everything at a distance. I was known for my ability to see things from a distance, but everything changed for me my 10th grade year. My 10th grade year, I decided to go out for my high school basketball team. And I had some good basketball skills. I was okay with the basketball. And so when I went out for the team, I made the team. But the only thing that stood between me and getting on that basketball court is I needed to go to the doctor and have a physical. Now, in the concept of health and fitness, I was in great shape. I worked out a lot. But the physical wasn't the issue for me. The problem that I actually had is this right here. It was the vision test I had to take. I told you guys earlier, all my life growing up, I was known for my eagle eye vision, that I could see everything from a distance. So when I went to take this test, I didn't have any problem with it, so I thought. And for most of you that's taking the vision test, you know how this works. They'll pop a chart up on the wall. They'll tell you to cover one of your eyes and read with your uncovered eye the chart up against the wall. And so I will begin to read the chart. E, F, H, T, N, I, E, P, A, Z. The big letters were so easy to read. But when I got down to the bottom of that chart, I'm talking that small font, that font that's like 4-inch font, right? Or 4 millimeter, 4 centimeter font. For the first time, Mr. Eagle Eye, who could see it all, began to squint. I couldn't tell whether that was a P or a T. I couldn't tell whether that was an S or an M, a O or a Z. So I began to just guess randomly the letters up against the wall. And as every time I guessed the letter incorrectly, the ophthalmologist who was doing the chart test would let out a little sigh, letting me know I was failing the test miserably. So when she turned the lights back on and I got really, really quiet, right? Because I didn't know the outcome of the test. She said, you know you failed this test, right? Like, you know, for the first time, you are going to need to wear glasses. And I didn't want to wear glasses. And the reason why I didn't want to wear glasses, because we made fun of kids in our school that wear glasses. We would call them all types of cruel things. We'd tell them that they were a nerd. We would just laugh at them, make fun of them. And so I got quiet because I didn't want to have to wear glasses with the kids that got picked on. And that ophthalmologist told me 3 things I want to anchor today as we get ready to talk about the meat and potatoes of today's message. She said, number 1, a change is good. And I wasn't clear on why she said that. She said everything has to change over time. There's nothing in your life that's going to stay the same. As you go and grow throughout this thing called life, you're going to always go through change. So your job is to accept change and learn how to adjust to it. The second thing she told me is you have options. She said, if you don't want to wear glasses, you don't have to wear glasses. You can wear contact lenses. And when you get older, if you want to have LASIK surgery to correct your vision, you can go that route. So I want you to understand you always have choices and options. And I said, okay, well, doc, that's great. Change is good. And I have options and choices. But you told me 3 things. You said you're going to give me 3 things that I need to know walking out here today. So what's the third thing? She said, my job is to send you back out into the world with perfect vision. And I paused for a second because I wasn't sure what perfect vision was. She said, perfect vision is 2020. That's the best vision a person can have. And so as I left the ophthalmologist's office, it got me thinking about the concept of my life. And I tend to think about the same things even in this day and age. You know, when it comes to the thing called my life, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And what type of results am I going to get? And so that's why we're going to talk about the concepts called G.P.S My Success. So one of the things I want to ask you guys today is strictly this. What is your vision? Like, what is it that you want to do with your life? It doesn't make a difference how young you are. It doesn't make a difference how old you are. You are never at a place and point in your life that you cannot set a new vision of what it is you want to do, what it is you want to be, and more importantly, what it is you want to achieve before your time is up on this planet. So everything revolves around the concept of vision. Now, I guess I'm at this point now where let's jump into the meat and potatoes of how this thing is going to start out, right?
Right, sir.
Okay.
So it was very welcoming to hear such a beautiful concept from your side. And as you mentioned, that obviously there are always solutions to the problems, and we
Sure.
need to look at the solutions, and that is how basically the journey all the more becomes easy for us. So
Mm-hmm.
as we began the journey, and as you beautifully portrayed the idea of this stream to success,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly are we portraying here? Like, I would like to raise this thing here, that why is it important for us to set a vision in our life? Why is it so important that I need to plan a journey and actually have a vision that where am I actually planning to? So what are
I,
your inputs on this, sir?
okay, so what I'm going to use for this is I'm going to use what I call a biblical principle or a biblical philosophy. One of my favorite scriptures in the book of life says, write the vision and make it plain. What I pull from that means that the moment I got put on this planet, it is my job, it's my responsibility to figure out what is the vision for my life. Now, notice I said for my life, because what I see happen a lot of times is I see a lot of people spend all their time, their effort, and their energy chasing everybody else's vision. I can ask people all day long, what do you do? Where do you want to go? And most people have no idea, but they can tell me what their job expects out of them. They can tell me what their family and their friends expect out of them. My question is this: what is your vision for your life? Because your job before you leave here is to live your vision, right? So if we can get the screen pulled back up real quickly, I want to jump into something. It's going to be teachable text here real fast.
So you can add back your stream.
Okay.
Not visible.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
not visible.
One
Okay,
second.
okay. I think I
Yeah.
know what happened to it. Okay, so it actually shut off real quick. All right. All right, so give me 1 second. We'll just keep talking while we'll get this thing back up again. So what I'll say
Not a
is,
problem, sir.
number one, when it comes to the concept of vision, right? And the reason why I want to use a GPS to kind of teach this form of analogy is when I use a GPS for this, we know a GPS is a vision machine. And a GPS is useless until you first decide where you want to go. That means you're responsible for putting the address inside your personal GPS. Now, one of the things I learned about putting an address in the GPS is it gives me an idea of where I'm going to. The problem I see with most people is they're focused on too many things. They call it a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And I have an issue with that because if I'm focused on trying to do a billion different things, how in the world can I focus on the one thing that's going to give me the results that I desire and the results that I need? So I want to be crystal clear on what I'm going after. Whenever I put an address in a GPS won't let me go to 5 destinations at the same time. It will only let me focus on one thing at a time. So I can focus, I can be effective, and most importantly, I can be efficient. When I decided that I want to crush it as an entrepreneur, I wasn't trying to juggle a bunch of different things. My focus was strictly on entrepreneurship, which was real estate back then. I wasn't trying to be a Bitcoin. I wasn't trying to invest in cryptocurrency. I wasn't doing all those different things. I stayed focused on the one thing that's going to give me the one result. When I decide to jump out there and be a professional paid speaker and travel around the world, I focused on that one thing. I put one address in the GPS and I took all my effort, my energy, my gift, my talent, and my resources and utilized those as a way to focus specifically and intensely on just that one thing so I can get those dynamic results. So that's the first thing. The second thing I'm going to say is this, is when I can focus clearly on what it is I want, it lets me know what resources I need for the journey. Now, when I say resources, let me use this as an example. One of the craziest things I did in the last 10 years is I drove from my home state of Cincinnati, Ohio, out to Oklahoma. Now, I know for folks in India, they may be saying, okay, I don't get it. What is so crazy about that? It is a 14-hour drive one way. That's what makes it so crazy. It is literally a 14-hour drive one way. So at this point, I fly everywhere. If I have to be on the road for more than 3 hours, I'm going to get an airplane ticket and I'm going to fly out. But the reason why this was so important is when I put the address inside the GPS, one of the things the GPS did is it let me know how long I was going to be on the road. And the reason why that was so important, because if I'm going to be on the road for 14 hours, I probably want to have the right things in the vehicle to make the trip enjoyable. So in other words, 14 hours on the road, I probably want to start my journey off with a full tank of gas. I don't want to drive on the road and be out there for 2-3 hours, then have to pull off to the side of the road to find some place to get gas. I want to make sure that I can make the trip as efficient as possible. The second thing is I probably want to bring some snacks and some food in the car. If I'm going to be traveling for 14 hours, I probably want to have something that's going to make the travel a little bit easier. If I'm going to travel for 14 hours, I probably want to have a good music selection inside the car because that's a long time to be on the road. And more importantly, if I'm going to travel for 14 hours, what I definitely know that I want to do is I want to have the right company inside the vehicle. And the reason why that is so paramount to me is, you know, if you're on the road for a long time, who you're on the road with can make a trip enjoyable or it can make a trip exceptionally aggravating. Like we all have someone that you can put on the road for a long time and say, man, that's going to be great. But we also have those individuals where if we're on the road with them for a long time, it'll make you want to literally just jump out the vehicle. So when I get clear about the address, it helps me get clear about the resources that's going to help me make it to my fantastic finish line. So in the concept of this right here, if you have put an address in your life's GPS because you know what it is you want to do in life, what resources will you need that's going to help you get to that finish line quicker and faster? Now, in my personal journey, some of the resources I used, and we'll jump into this a little bit later, was the right education. And I say the right education because to be successful in real estate, I didn't need information about everything. Napoleon Hill, one of my favorite authors who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, right? He says that you should focus on specialized knowledge, not just general information, not just general education. That means whatever industry I want to be dynamically successful at, I should spend my time focusing on getting information specifically around that particular mindset or that particular trade or skill set. Right? So when I jumped into real estate, I focused strictly on real estate education to make me dominant. When I focused on the art of speaking and communication, I focused strictly on information that was going to help me into that arena to pull off that agenda. When I talk about resources, I can't do this without talking about the concept of money because money is important. You can't live in this world without money. But when I get clear about the address I'm going after, when I get clear about my vision, now I understand what I'm supposed to do with the money when it comes in. For most people's goals and dreams, you're not going to finance that goal and dream on absolutely nothing. At some point in time, money will be a factor. So when money comes in and I know what I want to do, I can now allocate that money over to the arenas that's going to help build that business, build that website, hire the employees, hire the staff. Before I got vision, I would get money, but I would blow my money on anything. I would blow it on going out with my buddies and my friends. I would blow it on travel. I would blow it on trinkets. I would buy cars and TVs and stuff like that. So I was spending money that really should have been allocated towards helping me make it to my finish line. And then the other resource I got to say is the company that you keep. Jim Rohn said the best. Jim Rohn says that your life will mirror that of the 7 people you hang with the most. I'm sorry, the 5 people you hang with the most, right? And so I want to be super selective over who my 5 is that's going to help me get to my finish line. Before I got clear on my vision, I hung with everybody. Now, it's not to say that some of the people I hung with were bad people. It's just they were bad in relation to me making it to the finish line that I had set up in my own proactive mind. Just because we're friends and buddies does not mean we're going to the same place or the same destination. So once I got clear on what it is I want to do, I started to intentionally hang around people that's going in the same exact direction. Most of us are familiar with the idea and concept that you will become who you hang with. So even as a kid growing up, my parents were super selective over who they allowed me to hang with. Why? Because they knew if I hung around bad kids, I would become bad seed and end up doing bad things. But if I hung around good kids, the chances of me hanging around good kids and doing good things accelerated itself. So this works the same exact way. In my time frame now, I hang around a lot of entrepreneurs. I hang around a lot of speakers. Why? Because they will help me better my best. So we want to be clear about vision because vision helps us understand the resources we need to make that particular journey work out. Everything starts with vision. So that means the address we put inside our life's GPS will ultimately determine our destination, distractions and resources.
So, right, sir. So I think you have very beautifully quoted this thing, and I think we have never thought about it in a similar way. That the journey is when you're reaching up a destination, it's the travel, is the people you're traveling along with, it's the
Yes.
address that you've been putting over, and of course, the journey throughout. So we
Mm,
have always taken up life in a way that it comes. We have never been too judgmental about it, or we are not planned accordingly. But if we
sure.
see our success or basically our journey in a form of a travel, a road trip, possibly we
Yes.
can streamline things much better, which is very beautifully quoted here.
Mhm.
So as we have been talking about setting up a vision, sir, so there are certain times that we set up a vision, but we are not being able to reach it there. I have
Yes.
a target with me that I have put up an address in my GPS, but I am unable to reach there. So there are
Mm,
certain delays. There are certain ways in which basically I tend to get stopped,
mm,
or I specifically been not able to put up that energy or that
sure.
effort, or things don't go well. So how do we deal with that delays?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. How do we deal with delays in life? Well, that would be the second principle, clarity over confusion. You know, when I put an address in the GPS, a GPS doesn't give me confusing instructions to follow on how to get to my destination. They're crystal clear and easy to follow, right? And so I have to have that same level of clarity when I go after my goals and my dreams. The problem I see with a lot of people, they operate in a space of confusion over clarity. And a confused mind will always say no. If you're confused about what it is you want in life, how in the world would you know what steps to take to get there? So anything that I want, I
Right.
have to be crystal clear. There's an exercise I do with individuals when I'm on the stage, and I'll ask if there's someone in the room that wants to lose weight, if they want to get back in shape and get fit. And of course, a lot of hands go up in the room. And I say, okay, so are you clear about how much weight you want to lose? And one young lady said, no, I just want to slim down. So you don't know how much weight you want to lose. You just want to slim down. So if you
Right.
go to the gym for 6 months, you are there 5 days a week. You have changed your diet. You are not eating any type of junk food whatsoever. And at the end of that 6 month run, you lose 5 pounds. You've been in there for 6 months, but you lost 5 pounds. Are you going to be satisfied with the results? Because you did lose weight. I just got a feeling that you expected to lose more weight, right? We want to be very careful what we say to ourselves because our subconscious mind is
Right.
always alert, is always aware, and it is programming for our success or our failure. There's 2 parts of the mind we deal with on a regular basis. We deal with the subconscious and the conscious mind. The conscious mind is our alert mind. It lets me know what's around me in real time. So I understand that I'm sitting there talking to you. I'm looking at a screen that I'm talking to you on. I'm holding an iPhone in my hand, right? I have a glass of juice right here in case I get a little thirsty. That's my alert mind. It lets me know everything that's going on in real time. But the subconscious mind, is where the programming actually takes place at. And the subconscious mind, unlike the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, it never shuts down. My conscious mind shuts down when I go to sleep. My subconscious mind, it's alert, it's awake, it's always processing, and it's always programmable. And there's no defense mechanism with subconscious mind, which is one of the reasons why I said earlier to watch the company you keep, because who you hang with and what they speak over you on a regular basis does a great job of programming your mind to get certain results. So I want to be crystal clear about what I want. I can't move in confusion. If I don't know specifically what I want, down to the minute detail, how can my mind know what to go after, and more importantly, how to recognize the opportunity when it pops up in front of me? There are thousands of people every single day that have some sort of idea what they want, but the idea of what they want can literally be 5 feet away, and they'll miss the opportunity because they're not clear on what the opportunity is supposed to look like. Everything about my journey started when I got clear about what it looked like, what type of stages and platforms I'm looking on, how am I going to dress when I go on these platforms, what does my audience look like? Right? So I want to be crystal clear, because a confused mind will never get you to your finish line. You have to operate in clarity, and you must be willing to program your subconscious mind. Now, one of the ways you can program your mind is through what I call affirmations. And I think a lot of people are familiar with affirmations. Those are items that you write out and you read out loud so you can actually hear what it is you're saying. I believe in the biblical principle that there is the power of life and death inside the tongue, which means oftentimes we speak death over our goals, our dreams, and the things that we want, because we're not cognizant that our subconscious mind is always listening and always waiting to be programmed. So if I keep telling myself I can't do it, I'm never going to have it, I'm always going to struggle financially, I'm not smart enough, I'm not attractive enough, my subconscious mind will pick up on the things that I hear on a regular basis, and it will not only believe it, but it will create a format of truth around it. So that will be my new norm. I had to switch up the things I said to myself on a regular basis, and that's what got me to the finish line, because I got more clear over what I do want, and I got rid of the things that I did not want. So the second step here is moving in clarity over confusion. A GPS will always give you clear instructions, but you have to be present for those instructions. Absolutely.
So, sir, as we're talking about distractions here, and we're talking a lot of difficulty in terms of be able to be retaining that. So,
Mhm.
there is a connectivity that we have been looking for, right?
Yeah.
So, something. What are the things we need to ensure that leads to our success? Because it's every time is that the vision has been clear, we're walking towards it, but still there is a lacking in terms of what we are able to be reaching up a success in our life. So, how
Okay.
do you think we should be going about it?
Absolutely. I love that question. I absolutely love that question. What is something we can do that will ensure our success in life? Well, I'll be the first to say this. Your success in life typically is based on who you are connected to on the journey, right? Let's jump back into this GPS analogy again, because we understand that a GPS works on Wi-Fi, right? As long as we got a strong Wi-Fi connection, whatever address I put in that GPS will take me wherever I want to go. I put the address in the GPS finds a local cell phone tower. That tower is connected to a satellite in outer space. And as long as I got that trifecta connection going on, that GPS will take me anywhere I actually need to go. But the opposite of being connected is operating in a dead zone. Now, I understand when I visited India last year, because we had some drivers that were driving us around and they were using GPS. There's a couple of dead zones where they lost the signal and they're driving blind. Here in the States, in Cincinnati, Ohio, we have a couple of pockets, a couple of areas of town where I can have an address in my GPS, and my GPS can be giving me instructions. But as soon as I hit that dead zone, I lose the signal. And if I'm not careful, I can lose my way because I have no idea where I'm going. So let's talk about why it's so important to be connected to the right people, the right places, and the right things. I firmly believe that success is 50% what you know, 50%
Correct.
who you know, and what they know about you. If you think that education alone is going to get you to your fantastic finish line, I got bad news for you. It typically doesn't happen that way. You can be the smartest person on the planet, but there's some doors of opportunity you don't get access to because it's based on who you know, not necessarily what you know. So I had to transform my thought process and learn how to be connected. right? You want to have what I call at this day and age, you want to have a global influence. You want to have global connection. You want to be connected with people all over the planet, not just people in your backyard. So let's jump into this a little bit because I think I can explain it a little bit better as I pull up some of the content on this particular slide. Now, when I say connected, this goes back to that GPS philosophy and principle, right? That philosophy and principle is if I got that connection, it helps me get to my finish line. One of the things I had to connect with is the right mentors and the right teachers. I'm going to say that again. I had to be connected with the right mentors and I had to be connected with the right teachers. And here's why this is so valuable. I showed you earlier in the slide 2 mentors I'm connected with. We have one John Maxwell and one Les Brown. Now, Les Brown is my current mentor. And he's been speaking for over 50 years. He's spoken in over 51 countries. He's known for telling people, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. So if he knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two, do you think he can teach me a thing or two? Absolutely. The most valuable resource you will ever have is your time. That's the most valuable resource in the world. Once your time is gone, it's pretty much gone. It is hard and difficult to get it back. So the beauty of being connected to a good mentor is that mentor can take their years of knowledge, education, and experience and pour that into you, which means you don't have to spend 50 years of your life trying to figure it out. It's one of the best success principles in the world. Figure out what it is you want to do in life and then find a mentor who's an expert at doing it and then get them to teach you, get them to train you. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Some mentors may take you under their wing for free. Some mentors may charge you. It boils down to how bad do you want it. I've had all types of mentors. I've had free mentors and I've had paid mentors. But at the end of the day, the mentor's job is to give me the information that I need that's going to shorten my curve so I get there quicker and faster. I don't want to learn all this when I'm 82 years old. I want to learn it when I'm a young man and I can enjoy my life. I don't want to cross my finish line when I'm too old to enjoy my life. So I would say the right mentors and the right teachers is definitely something on the radar you want to be connected with. The second thing I'm going to tell you is organizations. It goes back to that Jim Rohn philosophy of who you are surrounded with is who you will eventually become. Now, when I say organizations, I mean organizations that revolve around, again, what it is you want to do in life. When I want to master the art of real estate investing, I joined my local real estate investing club. When I want to learn how to be a more proficient speaker, I joined one of my local Toastmasters clubs. In fact, I was president at 2 clubs and vice president at a 3rd club because I love speaking so much, right? The organizations you belong to will also help you open doors and get more proficient at what it is you want to do. The third thing I think you should do is you got to have an accountability partner. If you want to be super successful in this thing called life, if you got a goal and dream you're trying to go after, you understand that sometimes you can't do it on your own. So who is holding you accountable to get to your finish line? It's amazing because for most of us that work for a job and there's a boss that we report to, that boss is our accountability partner. If you show up for work late too many times, that accountability partner is going to have a conversation with you that may end with you losing your job, right? So if we know in the corporate place that there's always accountability partners that help you get to your finish line to get results, why do we think that we can have a goal and dream outside of the workplace and think we're going to do it on our own? No, I promise you, you want someone to hold you accountable that's going to make sure you're getting results and getting the job done. I said earlier about your peers. And the reason why I say peers again, who you hang with, because I believe the people you hang with in life, that is your environment. Let's picture for a second that you are a seed. And let me be clear about this, because in order for a seed to grow, the seed has to be planted. But seeds only grow in good soil, not toxic soil. So I want to be very, very clear that I'm hanging in an environment or planting the seed called me, an environment that's good soil, not bad soil. When I wanted to jump into the world of speaking, I honestly had to leave my 9-to-5 job behind. I had to leave the corporate place and jump over to entrepreneurship. Why? There was no way in the world the seed called Karim Ellis could be planted in the backyard of the job I was working for. I wasn't going to produce any fruit. So I had to figure out what environment was best for me and then plant my seed in that soil so I could start to produce not just fruit, but I mean a lot of fruit. I want to look at my tree and see a lot of fruit coming off that tree, right? I also got education down here, and I believe that a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I tapped into this a little bit earlier, that when you get clear about where you're trying to get to in life, you don't want just education about anything. And that is the only problem I have a lot of times with the school system. The school system is great, but it gives us a lot of information about everything, right? What if I want to be dominant in an environment? I want education specifically about that. So when I leave the school system, it's my responsibility to start to study myself. The problem I see with a lot of people's education cuts off either after high school or after college. People believe that they have made it, they're successful, and they don't have to study or learn anything. You will always be a perpetual student of learning. If you think you're going to be successful, because the way the world is set up now, the world is changing at a faster rate than ever before. What is new today will be old in 365 days. So we're always changing, always transforming, which means the level of education I acquire has to measure the tempo of how fast the planet is moving, right? So I want to have education that really helps me be super dominant over what arena I want to crush my goals and dreams in. And then the last thing I would say is mentoring others. Now, I said earlier at the beginning of this, I said connect with mentors. Mentors pour into your cup, which gives you expertise and gives you value that helps you get to your finish line quicker and faster. But I got to put down here mentoring others. And the reason why this is so important is I believe that sometimes in order for you to grow, you're required to pour out. I want to show you an example of this in real time because this is so super powerful, right? This glass that I'm holding, right, represents my life. And as a young man growing up, I knew I wanted to be successful. I know I wanted to be able to travel the world. I know I wanted money. I know I wanted access. I know I wanted influence. And so I started to connect with the right mentors in my life, whether they was in the religious world, the spiritual world, whether there's mentors that I learned from school growing up, certain teachers, and they began to pour their value into my glass. And as they poured into my glass, I saw my level of success start to shoot up. Right? I start to learn more. I start to be more successful. I start to accomplish more. And then we got to a breaking point where my glass literally got filled up. As you can see, looking at this glass, there's no more room inside this cup, right? So if someone continues to pour value into this cup, the problem is it's going to start to spill over. Right? Because I can't hold anymore inside this cup. So what I had to learn how to do is take some of the stuff that I've learned and pour out into other people. I have to find other individuals that want to grow and be successful and start to pour out my knowledge into their glass. And as I poured out into their glass to help them get their journey started, the most powerful transformation took place. I got room inside my glass. So as I pour out into other people, now I got room for other mentors to pour back into me. Absolutely true. How in the world can you do anything if your glass is already filled up? There's no room, right? So I have to learn how to get really, really good and proficient in pouring out what I know into other people. Now, I want to lean in and give you an entrepreneurism, right? The entrepreneurism is this. Nobody said you had to do it for free. As an entrepreneur, right? I've learned and then I've poured out. But depending on the situation, circumstance, I may pour out for a fee. There's some people under the sound of my voice where you are an expert at something and you know it so well that the world will pay you for it. The question being is, why are you not setting up business and getting paid to do it? Right? So I have to learn the value in pouring out into others. There's certain people I do mentor for free. There's certain people I mentor for fee. But it boils down to understanding the value of what's sitting inside of me. And that's why it's so important to be properly connected, because your growth will oftentimes come through not just your education, but what you are connected with. That's going to help you get to your finish line. But I said two things here. I said connection, but I also said dead zone. I said a dead zone is a place in a space that if I'm not careful, I can hit a dead zone and I can lose my signal. And in that moment, I'm driving blind. So one of the questions I always have to ask myself is, what are my dead zones? What is it that's slowing me down? Now, one of the dead zones you're going to run into is your comfort zone. I'm going to say that again. One of the dead zones you are actually going to run into is going to be your comfort zone. And everybody has it. Even me at this stage of my journey, I have comfort zones I have to break through. The reason why the comfort zone is so dangerous, though, is I compare a comfort zone to a casket. I compare the comfort zone to a casket. Now, here in the States, we bury a lot of people by casket. And anytime I've looked at a casket, I've never looked at a casket and said, man, that looks really uncomfortable. I've never looked at the inside of a casket and said, man, it looks like if I was laying in there, my back is going to be sore. A casket looks super comfortable. So I'm burying my loved one. I believe that I'm burying my loved one and sending them off to the afterworld in grace and style and beauty. You can look at that family member laid up inside the coffin with all the quilted sides around it and say they look so comfortable, right? The reason why I say a comfort zone is like a casket, because I have never seen a casket that looks uncomfortable. Not in my mindset. And the comfort zone is the same exact way. But you know, a casket is only good for holding one thing. It holds dead things. There's no live thing sitting inside a casket, which means there's no live thing sitting inside a comfort zone. So I want to be very, very careful, because if I sit inside a comfort zone for too long, those goals and dreams, those hopes, those aspirations that I'm trying to go after, they are literally one step away from being buried. That is the danger of the comfort zone, right? So we want to make sure we're not hanging out inside a comfort zone. The other thing that's a dead zone, and I'm going to be so clear when I say this, I don't want to be offensive, but sometimes our family and our friends can be our dead zones. There are some goals and dreams that we are going after that may be so egregious that it actually scares some of the family and friends we deal with on a regular basis. Some of the people listening to this, you will be groundbreakers in your family. You are going to do things so dynamic that your family's never done before. And sometimes family can support, but sometimes you can scare family because you're stepping out there to something that is so unknown to them that it makes them nervous. Right. I got to be really, really clear who I share my goals and dreams with, because you can't share your goals and dreams with everybody. I used to hang around a certain friend, and I would tell him my goals and dreams on a regular basis, and he would give me 5 reasons why I couldn't do it, but couldn't give me 1 reason why I could. I got to say that again. He would give me 5 reasons why I could never make it happen, but he couldn't spend the time, effort, and energy to give me 1 reason why I could. He was a dead zone. Every time I got around him, I would lose my signal, and I would get lost on what I'm supposed to be focused on. The other thing I got to say is negative people in general. I believe in the principle that energy cannot be destroyed, but it can be transferred. And anytime you deal with negative people, that is a direct transference of energy. We've all hung around someone that was a little bit depressed or down in the dumps, and then when you walked away from them, you start feeling a little bit down in the dumps and depressed. What happened was a transfer of energy. Their negative stinking thinking transferred to you through conversation. So those types of individuals, they can be dead zones. I would have my goals and dreams locked up here and then spend an hour with a negative person, and now I forgot what I was supposed to do, or I didn't feel like doing it, right? I also got down here wrong organizations. Earlier, I talked about the power of being connected to the right organizations. When I want to master real estate, I hung around the real estate investing group. When I want to learn speaking, I hung around folks in Toastmasters, right? But there's also something known as wrong organizations. Now, when I say wrong organizations, this typically means an organization where they are there to give me information or knowledge, but I've outgrown the group. And that happens a lot. And everything is from childhood to adulthood. We outgrow our clothes, right? We may outgrow our lifestyle. What my big mistake was, I belonged to a multitude of organizations, and I was showing up meeting with the organization every week. And I didn't realize I had outgrown the organization. They were no longer giving me any information that was going to be sufficient to help me be successful. So why am I still a member of the organization? I had to do my due diligence and begin to unload things that did not serve me or service me. So I want to be clear about that, because a lot of times staying in a place too long is a dead zone. It can stunt your growth. And then the last 2 things we got down here is outdated education, and then we have down the wrong environment. Now, I said it earlier, education is something you need to be connected with, but not just any type of education. You want specialized knowledge. You want information and education specifically about the industry that you want to crush it in. That's what you want to focus on. You don't want to be a jack of all trades with education. You want to narrow that thing down. The problem with a lot of us is, like I said earlier, the world is spinning faster and education is transforming faster and faster and faster. So I want to be up to date on the right education. I don't want outdated information. I was born in the 1980s. So back in the 1980s, we didn't have the internet. What we had, we wanted information, we had to go to a library, or they sold encyclopedias. Door-to-door salesmen would sell us encyclopedias. We don't have people selling encyclopedias now. Why? Because all the information we need, we're one Google away from it. We can Google on our cell phones anything we need to know. Education is moving at the speed of light, which means that I also want to be up to date on education. And then when I say environment, I said this earlier, seeds are not designed to grow everywhere. If I'm a seed, I got to put my seed in good soil, not toxic soil. So I want to make sure I'm planting my greatness in the right environment. But those are some of the dead zones that can oftentimes slow us down and hinder us if we're not cognizant over what we're doing on a regular basis.
Right, sir. So I think this is really important for everyone to know, especially the students, that basically as we've been traveling through the journey and there are a lot of distractions around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we deal with them? Because I know that probably it's a distraction, and I know certain things are stopping me. It can be friends, it can be family members, but I
Mm-hmm.
still feel that somewhere the vision that I had actually planned for, some
Mm-hmm.
kind of a way that has been getting stopped by the people across, just
Mm-hmm.
because they're not letting me focus on it. So
Mm,
probably it can be because they are not willing me to be succeeded, or possibly they do not understand my vision. That can
okay.
also be a reason, right?
Mm.
So how do we deal with this certain distractions, sir?
I'm glad you asked that. How do we deal with the distractions in life? Well, here's the thing. This is the secret. Distractions will always be there. So you got to wake up expecting the distractions to be there. But what keeps you on track is understanding what address you put inside the GPS at the beginning of the journey. If I put an address inside a GPS, and I'm going to a destination, I can pass a lot of distractions on the road. Unfortunately for me, my GPS doesn't care about the distractions. My GPS is
Correct.
still focused on what I gave it at the beginning of the journey. So I just want to stay as focused as I possibly can. And that's where things like accountability partners come in place. That's where reading affirmations over what I want, because when I program my subconscious mind, it gets locked in there and it goes from a thought to an intense desire. And if I hold that desire long enough, it becomes an obsession. And anything you obsess over, it's not a matter of if I'm going to get it. It's a matter of when the opportunity is going to manifest that I can take advantage of that opportunity. So let's talk about dealing with distractions. On the screen, I have one of my Porsche convertible cars. I am a Porsche enthusiast. I've been in love with Porsche sports cars since I was about 8 years old. So this is one of them right here. Now, I remember when I got this car. I got this car the week of my best friend's birthday, and I was going to go to his birthday party with the vehicle and just kind of show off my vehicle in front of all my friends. And so when I got the car, I got up early that morning and I took it to a place to get it professionally detailed. They got the car spotlessly cleaned in and out. And then I got on the highway and began to travel towards the destination of the birthday party. Unfortunately for me, I got distracted. There was 4 kids inside this red Mustang, and they came barreling onto the freeway, and I hit right away. And so they almost hit my vehicle. So I'm driving behind this car, pacing myself, trying to pay attention to where I'm going to, but I'm a little upset at how reckless the kids are in front of me. And when I say reckless, I mean the kids are in the car playing around with each other, slapping each other, boxing with each other. And so it's a distraction to the driver of that vehicle. Then out of nowhere, the unthinkable happens. One of the kids inside the vehicle had this cup of liquid, the Slurpee, that he decided he no longer wanted. And he decided to hurl this Slurpee out the vehicle at 70 miles per hour while I'm behind the car driving. Now, I understand what the kid was trying to do. The child was trying to throw the Slurpee with enough velocity so it would land safely on the side of the highway. Unfortunately, the young kid didn't understand how the law of physics worked. Because when you throw something out the window at 70 miles per hour, right? What happens was the cup of the cup he threw out the window caught the wind. The wind took off the lid, and before I knew it, my brand new detailed white Porsche convertible was covered in nothing but sticky Slurpee. Now, needless to say, I'm a very nice guy, but I was very, very upset, and I began to chase these kids. I had to give them a piece of my mind. I could not believe they hit my car with a Slurpee, and before you know it, I'm distracted. I forgot about going to the birthday party. I'm so busy trying to catch these kids to have a conversation with them on why you don't do that I went barreling past my exit. So about 30 minutes after the fact, I realized it's probably best to let the kids go about their business and so I can get back on track. But then when I pulled off to the side of the road, I had missed my turn off. It was almost at this point, I was an hour late for the party. So I had to make a decision. Do you still go to the party that you are now late for, or do you just go back home and call it quits? I was going to go back home. I was so frustrated over what those kids had done to my car. And the fact that I was late to the party, I was going to go back home. Unfortunately, I had followed the kids for so long down the road, I didn't know where I was at. I was lost. And so I picked up my GPS and I began to put my home address inside the GPS. And right as I got to put my address in the GPS did something that was so powerful. I still remember it vividly to this day. The GPS said recalculating, 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 recalculating. Even though I allowed myself to get distracted by what those kids had done by hitting my car with that Slurpee, right? Even though I went past my exit, even though I was an hour late to the party, the GPS never gave up on the address I gave to it at the beginning of the journey. It was still focused on how to get there. So even though I got distracted, the journey did not change at all. So when I say putting an address inside a GPS is the key to it, you have to understand that's what keeps you focused. But when you get distracted, because that's going to happen, life is full of distractions. Every day you get up, there's a distraction waiting on you. The question I have for you is, are you willing to mentally recalculate? If you make a wrong turn, if you go the wrong way in chasing your goals and dreams, it doesn't mean the dream is over. You're still trying to get to what it is you want in life. But understand, there's always more than one way to get to the finish line. Even though I was lost and an hour away, the GPS found a new route to get there. I had to be willing to trust the GPS, trust the new route. I had to put some gas inside the car. So it cost me a little bit of money, a little bit of time, but I still arrived at my finish line. Murphy's Law says that which can go wrong will go wrong with that one inopportune moment in time. So when Murphy knocks on your door and says, I got some bad news for you, will you let the bad news hit you in such a way that you decide to throw in the towel on what it is you want in life? Or would you say, okay, Murphy, I understand what you're telling me, but I also understand there's more than one way to get to my finish line. I'm going to spend my time trying to figure out what's my new route to get there? What's the new route I can take that's going to get me to my finish line? Because even if I get there with a delay, it doesn't mean I'm going to be denied. I still want to get back on track when bad things happen. We just came out of COVID, 2020. In 2020, the whole world was affected by COVID. It wasn't just one country. The whole world was affected by COVID. Everything shut down. People were hid inside houses wearing masks to stay safe. Companies shut down. People were let go from jobs. A lot of people felt that their goals and dreams were over with because of COVID. And I said, no, stay focused on your goal and dream and recalculate. There were more millionaires created during the COVID shutdown than any moment in the last 5 years. Why? Because those that did learn how to recalculate, and they made a boatload of money. They made a boatload of success, even though many of them were trapped inside the comfort of their own homes. There's always more than one way to get to the finish line, but I got to be willing to recalculate in order to get there.
Rightly said, sir. Very true. I really agree on this point, sir. The COVID time has actually proven to be really tough for people, and actually, it was a right time where the people have actually understood the potential because they were cut off from the world. So there was
Yes.
nobody to distract them, and they were very clear of the vision. They were trying to find a vision, and I think the address to the GPS were quite right for the people. That is why they actually could reach up to the right place. So if
Mm.
I'm talking about the vision and we are talking about the journey, we're
Mhm.
also talking about that how do we maintain the consistency, because
Mm.
I know there is a lot of distractions. I know possibly I have a journey to travel on, but
Mm.
still I am not able to maintain that consistency. So
Mm.
how do we go about it, sir?
Okay, so how do we maintain the consistency? That's a great question as well. What I've told people all the time, you maintain the consistency by being loyal to the goal and the dream. You have to be loyal to it. Now, I'm going to tell this story, and it's not the best story in the world, but I want to use it from an analogy standpoint because I want folks to understand how this plays out. I got a buddy of mine who got caught cheating on his wife a few years ago. And I know everyone's like, okay, now what's going on here? Where are we going with this, Dr. Ellis? What are we talking about? And the way this buddy of mine got caught cheating on his wife was really, really wild. He got caught through the GPS, right? He had his mistress and he was driving all over the city. And every time they would go out to a date night or a restaurant, he was putting the address inside the GPS. Well, his wife went into the GPS one day and she pulled up the history log and she saw all the addresses of these places she had never been to before. She's looking confused, wondering, okay, why all these addresses inside the GPS? The reason why I say this is because most people I see, they are guilty of cheating on their goals and their dreams because they spend time chasing everybody else's agenda. When I look back over my life's GPS and I look at the history log, there was a moment in my journey because, every time you put an address in the GPS, that history log keeps a track of where you've been spending your time at. Right? There was moments in my journey where I would look back in the history log of my life and I would say, I'm spending time at this person's agenda. I was spending time at this job. I was spending time chasing this person's goal, this person's dream. But very rarely would I see my own goals and dreams pop up in the history log. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Where your energy goes, your focus flows. And so one of the things you have to do is put your effort, your energy, your time, and all that stuff on your goals, your dreams, and your agenda. So one of the ways you stay consistent is at the end of the day, you must be 100% loyal to your goal and your dream. You cannot afford to cheat on your goals and your dreams by chasing everybody else's agenda. The one thing we all have is time. And whatever I decide to water with the gift of my time is what's going to grow. When I got serious about my success, I can no longer cheat on my goals and dreams by spending my time watering everybody else's goals and dreams around me. I had to be focused and consistent on watering my own goals and dreams. I don't know of a single plant on this planet besides a cactus that can go for days, weeks, and months without being watered. Every other plant needs to get water at least on a weekly basis. Otherwise, it will dry up and it'll die. Your goals and dreams work the same exact way. If you are not watering your goals and dreams with consistency, meaning I'm taking my effort, my energy, my passion, my purpose, and I'm watering that seed again and again and again. If I refuse to water, it's going to die. There's no way in the world it can actually survive. So I've got to be loyal to my goals and my dreams above anything else. Now, this is a difficult concept for a lot of people because a lot of times we've been taught to do the opposite. We've been taught to take all our gifts and talents and put them behind someone else's goal and dream. My question for you is, what address is inside your GPS? Is it the address of what it is you want in this thing called life? Or is this address somebody else's agenda and you're just getting up every single day following the motions, the steps, and the actions? And so you are loyal to someone else's goal and dream and you have not been loyal to your own goal and dream.
Rightly said, sir. So, as we are talking about loyalty and we're talking about finding our ways to it, so what is the takeaway that the students can have after finding up a vision and planning their ways to it? So, what is your take on it, sir? That possibly even if the address that we are put in and the kind of a way that we're maintaining the consistency, maintaining the loyalty towards a particular goal, how do we forward this vision ahead to be actually getting success?
I love it. Let's recap it then, right? Number one, I want to be clear about where I want to go every single day. Not once a month, not once a year. Every day I have to be clear about where I want to go. That means every day is my responsibility to put an address inside my GPS. If I fail to do that every day I get up, then that means I'm walking out the house and I'm driving blind out here in the world. I'm encountering anything and everything, but it may not be what's going to get me to my finish line. So number one, I got to be clear about where I want to go. Number two, I got to understand that clarity is key. The more clear I am about what I want, the easier it is for me to spot the opportunities that's going to get you there. My hope is that for someone watching this right now, they now have clarity over why it's so important to put an address inside their GPS every single day so you get the results you want versus getting results you never asked for, right? The third thing they want to do is they want to understand the difference between connectability and dead zones. They want to be very, very clear on who, what, and how they should be connected to the people, the places, and the spaces around them. Who are the mentors? Who are the coaches? Who are the teachers? What organizations do I need to be connected with? What education? And am I also doing a great job of pouring out into other people on a regular basis? So there's always room in my cup to grow. But I got to be clear about those dead zones. I said earlier, those dead zones are places and spaces where if I'm not careful, I can hit a dead zone, lose my signal. And when I lose my signal, I lose my way, right? So I want to be aware of who, what, and where the dead zone. Is it family? Is it friends? Sometimes it may be the particular job that I'm working at because that job may not be pushing me in the direction of where I want to go to. It may be outdated information. It may be outdated education. But I want to be clear about the dead spaces and dead zone so I don't get lost and get stuck, right? The fourth thing we brought up is I got to learn how to deal with distractions, that I cannot make distractions disappear. We live in a world with weapons of mass distraction, as Les Brown says. I didn't say weapons of mass destruction. I know we got those, but weapons of mass distraction because every day I wake up, there's distractions waiting on me. The goal is when I encounter a distraction and I realize I have been distracted, will I be willing to recalculate? So I don't walk away from my goal and dream, but I get back on point, even if it's a little bit of a delayed process. And then the last thing we got to focus on is we got to check the history log. My history log tells me where I've been spending the majority of my time in my past. And I want to make sure I've been focused on things that's going to get me to my finish line versus focusing on everyone else's. The beautiful thing about the past is this: we cannot change the past. Every 60 seconds, we are living in the past. Every 60 seconds, the past goes past us, right? I can't change the past, but I can learn from it. That's the only thing the past can be used for. The way you affect your future is not focused on the past, it's focused on the present. Because what you do in the present sets the shape for your future, not your past. You learn from your past, but your present decisions set the stage for your fantastic future. And if we can do all those things properly, I feel that you should have no problem as you go down life's superhighway, picking up speed, at you, getting to your fantastic finish line.
You have arrived at your destination.
You've arrived at your destination. You have arrived at your destination. Now, what I'd like to do very, very quickly before we jump into the Q&A is I want to offer something to all the folks out here that's watching this powerful presentation today. I want to offer you a copy, a free digital e-copy of my best-selling book, G.P.S My Success. So if you got value out of this today, I want you to get the book, right? I want you to get the entire, because we've been here for an hour. I can't give you all that value in an hour. I can't give you everything in an hour. So I want to offer that to your loyal viewers and listeners for free. How do you get it? Go over to my Instagram. Find me at Karim Ellis 2.0, which is on the screen. Follow me and send me a direct message, a DM saying, I heard you today on this program, and I'll make sure my team gets you a free digital copy of this best-selling book, G.P.S My Success. So it'll be just like I'm there with you.
It is really generous of you, sir. We are really glad that possibly you have been actually doing so much for the audience that they can actually fetch over and get guided by your book. So,
Yes.
GPS My Success has been the best-selling author, authored book, and we are really glad that sir has actually been able to guide us with the same aspects and with the same vision, and we are helping us to be reaching our destination, which is very
Mhm.
important for us because all the more, even if you are actually having a vision and you know where the journey goes in, you still need few people along with you people as you reach up your destination. And that is what a mentor is all about. That is
Yeah.
what an educationist is all about. And that is why we need a teacher. Right, sir?
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the fact that you're using this platform to help educate the masses so they get it. You know, one of the hardest things in the world is to learn from hindsight. They say hindsight is 2020. Well, I said earlier, 2020 is what perfect vision is about. So we don't want a world of individuals that spend 40, 50 years of their life doing it the wrong way and then trying to
Right,
backtrack.
sir.
I love the fact that you're using this platform to teach and educate people at a very early age so they don't have regret down the road. Like the only thing that I would do differently with my life if I had to do this all over again is I would have started my journey with these principles when I was 18 years old. I didn't know the principles. I had to learn them the hard way. But had I known what we're talking about today, it would have made a dramatic difference. And the reason this is so important is everything is mirrored in time. And the more time we have on this planet, the more impact we get to create with people around us. I believe we're blessed to be a blessing. That means that at the end of the day, no matter how successful we are, the success is not just about us. It's based on who we're allowed to share the success with on our way to the top. People say it's lonely at
Right,
the
sir.
top. It's lonely at the top because you ain't brought enough people with you. You got to learn how to pour into other people and bring folks to the top with you so we can all celebrate the top together. So when I think about this broadcast and this program, I want to celebrate you because I feel you're doing the same exact thing.
Thank you, sir.
You're helping people get to the top so we can all celebrate when we make it. And I love it. And I thank you for that.
It is really my honor, sir. Thank you so much. It's been your support and your contribution that you agree for this session, and it is really indeed our opportunity and a
Mhm.
great glad thank you for all of your contribution to it. And in a
Mhm.
very short span, you have been able to contribute it. You could make time, and which is really incredible. So all of you, sir, has been offering us a digital copy to us. Please
Mhm.
do go sign up, sign in, subscribe his Instagram account, get a digital copy of yours. Please go through the book. It's a best-selling authored book, and
Mhm.
sir has given a beautiful insight to it. So the educational vision that we had through the session and
Mhm.
was specifically to guide the people. And I hope I have actually put up the address. My vision
Mhm.
is clear. I just hope that I'm able to reach up to the destination with all the people that are joining through this journey along with me. So really glad and thank you so much for joining. So, sir, before we conclude, let's have up a question answer session. We have a few of the people
Okay.
who have actually certain questions for you. So everybody's really curious, and we are actually having getting many questions. But yes, of
Okay.
course, we will not be able to take all of them. So let's look into it. Few of the questions where the students really are inquisitive about certain of this. I'll just raise up one of those.
Mhm.
So how does building strong relationships and networking contribute to personal and professional success? Yes, sir.
Okay, so I love that question. And I love how I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly, Danish, how you're thinking today, right? Remember, to be successful, you want to build a team. There's an old proverb that says, if I want to go fast, travel alone. But if I want to go far, build a team. I'm going to say that again. If I want to go fast, travel alone. But if I want to go far, I want to build a team. So if you want to go far in life, you'll never be able to do it on your own. So you want to build those strong relationships and you want to network with people that can help you. They help you get to the finish line. If you look at any major sport, whether it is basketball or football or your version of football, soccer, right? If you look at that, there's not one person that carries that team. There's a group of individuals out there playing together, and that's how you win championships. One of my biggest mistakes growing up is I traveled alone. And so I moved very, very fast, but it was very, very hard work. When I figured out the power behind building a team, it took a lot of the burden off me to be successful. So I would always say you want to build strong relationships and you want to network because that's the thing that's going to help build your success quicker and faster. You want to align yourself with people that's going in the same direction as you. That means when I win, they win. When they win, I win. Like right now, this interview, this is a collaboration where both parties win, right? So you always want to build these type of relationships. And now that we've talked and done this interview, we're connected for life, right? So I have strong connections with my sister here in India. So this is how this works. Successful people understand the ability to create strong dynamic relationships and networking, but it has to be beneficial to both parties. In other words, you don't want to create a relationship where you're using a person. That's what you don't want to do. Right? You'll miss out on opportunities if you're there for the wrong reason. So connect with the idea that I'm going to benefit and improve the value of their life. They're going to benefit and improve the value of my life. And then we both win together. So I hope that answers the question.
Right, sir. Beautifully quoted, sir. Another one comes over. How important it is continuous learning and skill development for personal and professional growth.
Okay, so I'm loving these questions right now, right? How important is it for continuous learning and skill development? It is super important. I want you to picture your life like a tree. And the way you know a tree is dead is it stops producing leaves. I'm going to say that again. The way you know a tree is dead is it stops producing leaves. That means a tree is always in a state of perpetual growth. We know we have different seasons. We have summer, we have spring, summer, winter, fall. Spring, summer, fall, spring, summer, fall, and we know during the fall, the leaves fall off of the trees, depending on what part of the world you're in, right? And when those leaves fall off, the only reason those leaves fall off because the tree no longer has usage for those leaves. A leaf's job is one thing, to capture sunlight. That's how the tree survives and lives. The leaf captures sunlight, photosynthesis. That's how the tree survives, right? But when the leaves are no longer of usage to the tree decides to release it on its own, knowing that during the wintertime, the tree will be barren. A tree may look like it's dead, but during the springtime, it starts to develop new buds and leaves come forward. And usually it produces double the amount of leaves that it let go of last season. That's what learning and development is for you, my friend. If you want to be super successful and relevant, you got to always be learning and developing and working on your skill. Why? Because the world is always changing. There will be things that you have learned in this season that may be outdated next season. So like those leaves on that tree, you got to release them and let them go. But as you go through life, you got to always make sure as I release, I got room for new growth. So you'll always be studying. You'll always be learning. You'll always be being mentored by somebody. The goal is to be okay with the process. Most people mess this up because they think that once they get formal education, their learning stops. They jump into the workplace, the workforce, they think they're not to learn. I go, no, if you want to be super successful, you'll always be in a state of perpetual learning, which means you're always going to be in a state of perpetual growth. Your growth stops when your life comes to an end. So your job is to learn everything you can to have a fruitful life while you're here. So I hope that answers the question.
Beautiful, sir. So another question is raised by myself. Right,
Okay.
sir. I want to be talking about how self-discipline has been helping us in achieving a long-term success.
Okay. What role does self-discipline play in achieving long-term success? I'm known as the Breakthrough Strategist. I am a great motivational speaker. But let me be so clear when I tell folks this. Motivation is not enough. Motivation is the inspiration that gets you going. But discipline is what keeps you in motion. Think about it like a car. If I start a car up, I can turn the ignition and turn the car on. But it's my foot on the gas that gets the actual car to stay in motion. So the turning of the key would be the motivation you get, the inspiration to get up and do something great with your life. But you can be inspired and start the vehicle and go nowhere if you don't put your foot on the gas. So discipline is the equivalent of putting your foot on the gas. The moment you take your foot off the gas, what happens to the car? The car starts to slow down and eventually comes to a stop. You can be motivated and inspired all day long, but until you develop the discipline you need to stay the distance, eventually that vehicle will stop. And you'll find yourself going back into the well of motivation and repeating the process all over again. The goal is to stay in motion so I don't have to come to a stop. If there was ever a moment in my life that messed me up from I would say age 18 to where I am now, is I was motivated to be great, but there were seasons of my life where I lacked the discipline. And so I kept coming to a stop and having to start all over again. And every time you stop, it's a little bit harder to get everything going again. So the goal is to always have enough consistent discipline that discipline becomes a habit. Scientists say it takes 30 days to start a habit, 66 days to lock it in stone, and 90 days to make it a lifestyle. I'm going to say it again. Scientists say it takes 21 days, not 30 days. 21 days to start the formation of a habit. 66 days to lock it in stone, and 90 days to make it a lifestyle. That means that right now you are operating out of your habits, whether you know it or not. 90% of what you do is habit driven. The way I hold a glass, that's habit. I hold every glass the same exact way. The way I pick up my cell phone and hold my cell phone, that's habit. The way I drive my car, that's habit. The way I hold a pencil or ink pen, that's habit. That means this is something I've done so consistently that it's locked in my brain that I do it without even thinking about it. Once I hit 90 days, that means that whatever I do, this habit is on autopilot. I don't even think about it. I just do it. So the question I have for most people is, have you made discipline a habit that's on autopilot? Meaning that I do it without even thinking about it. The way to get super successful in the realm of discipline is to do discipline so often that it becomes a habit that now you operate in discipline without even thinking about it. But I typically have to force myself into the world of discipline. I have to start that 21-day process that I'm going to do this every single day until it's etched in stone. And this is the result I get. When I started out as an entrepreneur and started out as a speaker, I had to be disciplined on the work involved in order to get a result. Now I do it without even thinking about it because it's locked in here. It's part of my work routine. So it's not as hard once it's in play. But if you don't have discipline, I promise you, you will never have long-term success. It's impossible. So I hope that answers the question.
Right, sir. So it is a part of a discipline that it's Sunday morning, 8 a.m., and we're taking up a session. It's basically a part of the journey that we have been actually able to educate the others, pouring the
Yes.
knowledge ahead, and that is why the discipline is really important. I think we can take one last question for the today.
Sure.
Can you provide some examples of how failure can be turned into valuable learning opportunities on the journey to success?
Woo! This one here is the one. I love this one, right? Can you provide examples of how failure can be turned into a valuable learning opportunity? Well, here's my thought. I think that you will fail in life more times than you succeed. And so every time you fail, it's a learning opportunity. Let's go back to childhood. When you were born on this planet, you did not know how to run. You had to learn first how to turn over and crawl. And then from mastering the art of crawling, then you had to master the art of standing. And when you mastered the art of standing, which is really balance, right? Then you mastered the art of walking. When you mastered the art of walking, now you can master the art of running. But in order for you to learn how to run, you first have to learn how to be okay with failing and falling. As babies growing up, we all have tumbled and fallen a multitude of different times. But understand, it was not the falling that was so detrimental. It was learning how to get back up again. So I say in life, you will fall your way forward in life. You will fall into success if you choose to learn how to stand back up. When I look over my journey, I have failed times and I won. But my job is not to make failure my destination. My job is to look at whatever failures I have gone through, whether it was in my relationships, whether it was in my finances, whether it was in my educational choices, whether it was in the peers I hung with or the business opportunities. And if it did not work out the way I wanted to work out, what lesson am I supposed to learn from it? Because like I said before, the address I put in my GPS, that does not change. And I will go through many failures along the way. But oftentimes, the man or woman who sees success at the end of the day is a person who knows how to convert failure into success by getting back up and starting all over again. There's never a failure that is so permanent that should keep you from your finish line, but that's based on mindset. Is the failure here to delay me, or is the failure here to actually push me forward? Because once I learn the lesson, I'll never repeat that failure again. So hopefully that answers the question.
Beautiful, sir. It's a beautiful portrayal of the overall concept that we were actually looking forward. And most of the students today have this kind of a doubt that they
Mhm.
have a vision in their mind. They know where they need to be going, but they don't know the process. They
Yes,
don't know who is supposed to be helping them with. They don't know who is supposed to be guiding them. And a mentor is very important in terms of that. And yes,
sure.
of course, the people who play an important role in it. So
Mm.
there's another one question raising and coming up. Would you like to take, sir?
Absolutely. I'm here for you.
Yes.
Absolutely. Take all the time you need.
Right, sir. So we have here is when we fail continuously, how do we utilize the time and move towards becoming a successful person?
When we fail continuously, how do we utilize that time, that downtime, and move towards being a successful person? Well, that's easy. If I fail in such a way that's going to create downtime, I don't want to waste the downtime. I want to take a look at my plans and figure out what went wrong in my plan so I can get it right the next time around. This goes back to the concept earlier about the GPS being willing to recalculate. Things are going to go wrong in life. And if I'm doing something that's giving me continuous failure, that means I need to change the plan. Not change the goal and dream, but I need to change the plan. For me to be where I'm at right now, to have the level of success, I didn't start out this way. The very first business I created was a toy business. I was selling vintage toys from my childhood. I'm a child of the 80s. So I was selling vintage toys from my childhood. I thought that those vintage toys, which I was making more money with my online business than at my job, I thought that that business was going to be the very thing that's going to get me the success that I wanted. And then I realized the business went bust. All suddenly the customers went away. And so the money stopped. And I kept trying to make the business work and force the business, but it wasn't working. I was losing more money than I was making. The goal of being successful and having my lifestyle did not change. I realized that this plan to get there was not going to work. So whatever resources this temporary business created for me, how can I take those resources, that money, and actually use that in a different way to get the same results, right? So you want to learn from your failure. But the definition of insanity is doing the same thing day in and day out and not getting the results you want and somehow thinking miraculous is going to happen. There are so many people during COVID when the world shut down that thought their goals and dreams failed. There were millions of businesses that went bust during COVID because people weren't out patronizing the business. But there are also millions of businesses that said, you know what? Let's go to online shopping. Let's let our customers and clients get a hold of us virtually, and we'll start to deliver the products to them so they don't have to leave their house. And they made millions of dollars, right? So you want to make sure that you are clear that the destination doesn't change. But if whatever I'm trying to do does not work, and I've done it repetitively, doesn't work, I don't throw away the goal and dream. I sit down and brainstorm and say, is there a different way I can get there? Do I need to recalculate? Or is there more than one way to get there? But I'm so focused on this one way, I'm not seeing the 5 other ways I can take. GPS always has more than one way. Let's not get focused on the way that we like or the way that's comfortable for us. So hopefully that answers that question.
So I think it's a beautiful portrayal of the overall idea, and GPS is giving us as a way to our success. And
Mhm.
you have beautifully quoted some of the examples which actually the students can relate to their present time. Because
Mhm.
students going off the stream, going to house high school, going for graduation, they have a
Mhm.
difficulty in understanding what are the streams they're supposed to be taking and what are the steps towards the success. So it's
Mhm.
always a point of a fear among the students of failure, and it's
Yes.
always a difficulty to comprehend and get the people around them connected, be it the
Okay.
friends, family members. It's always difficult along the whole process. But yes,
Mhm.
of course, keeping things in light, keeping things together, we can actually work our way to success.
Yes.
Before ending, I would like to congratulate your success here. And as you have found out your way through your journey, through GPS, your success, I would like to share a video presentation on the TED Talk presentation of Sir, and how he has actually made his level of success, his way of success, the journey through the traveling that he has actually made through. So we will like to congratulate you for that, sir. And a glimpse of that I would like to share with everyone.
Absolutely.
Honestly speaking, sir, I don't want this session to actually end, but we can't be holding on things for such a long time. And it is such a honor and a privilege for us that for you, having you here for the session. And it's such beautiful insights that have given for children, for students, for parents today, for those who were the viewers and the audience who is watching.
Yeah.
Possibly we cannot hold on you for a very long time, but we are really honored that you actually could make out time for joining us.
Mhm.
So much before we shall be ending up this session,
Okay.
heartiest congratulations for the great achievements that you have, sir. We are really indeed proud, and we're really happy that we actually could get your time today to discuss on this. So, on behalf of the Educational Connect with
Mhm.
DM, I extend my heartfelt appreciation for Dr. Ellis for his invaluable insights and the inspiration that he has shared with us today. The special thanks to the enthusiastic participants for their active engagement and commitment to the personal growth.
Mhm.
Discover the keys to unlock your potential, navigate your journey towards the success, and get ready to transform your mindset and empower yourself with the greatness to achieve. So today's highlights that we can take away is the mindset and the positive thinking, goal setting, planning, continuous learning and skill development, building scholar relationships, and networking. So
Mm.
do carry on to this wisdom gained from this session today. Let GPS My Success be your guiding compass
Mhm.
as you travel your journey throughout the world, as you travel on in all your stages of your life. Let GPS My Success be your guiding compass on the path to greatness. Thank you all for your valuable contributions, for the great questions that we had today. And sir, incredible! It's indeed our complete honor that we could actually have a dedicated time with you to talk about such beautiful examples and quotes related to the journey and the life success that we have been actually achieving for. I think everybody is in the same line. So even if we have been on the same lines, it's always important that one small tip can change your life forever. So we were looking for that vision and that guidance from you, and it was indeed a great privilege that you could actually join us today.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Like I said before, I love the vision that you have set with this format, and I think it's going to transform a lot of lives. The key is the youth. So I'm so happy to see that this platform is out there, and we will see everybody at the top. We'll see everybody at the top, and I have gained another international family member, and so I'm excited about that as well. We are
We are
connected for
glad,
life
sir.
now.
Our honor. So it's a complete honor. It's a complete honor. Please, sir. Thank you so much. It's a indeed and complete honor to us. And we are really glad for the insights that we have actually got from you today. We are enlightened. We are really looking forward to the tips that you have given us, that we shall be following the same.
Thank
So
you.
as we conclude, I really want to thank you for your time as you have actually given to us.
Mhm.
Incredible session today, sir.
Thank
Incredible.
you.
Literally, thank you so much for your time, sir.
You're very much welcome. It's been my honor, it's been my privilege, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you. Never really know what's that's technology, right? You put in an address, it shows you where to go to. The principles I'm going to talk about are pretty much the same thing, and there's only 5 core principles to it. Number 1, we got to put an address in the GPS. We know a GPS is useless till we first figure out. Yeah. Die line with the cow. Every week now I switch to a new style. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything I do end up in the news now. 212s in the back just blew out. Everything I do end up in the news now.
Thank you, sir, for joining today's session, and it was really indeed a great pleasure for us. Do you connect? Be connected, sir. We will be looking forward to another beautiful session with you very soon.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Definitely we'll connect again. Alrighty.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.